Hey there! Today we're going to talk about this pen. Came in this box. I've already shown you a pen like that, right? With the Jinhao X750. Here's another one, same box. And here we got what I consider to be a pretty fancy pen. I'm reaching around my computer here trying to find this pen. Delta Dolce Vita Oversize. Chinese pen. Would they have been inspired by Delta? Who knows? So what we got here is celluloid, at least that's what they claim, and it's by a brand called Yiren, Y-I-R-E-N, Yiren. Someone asked me about that at some point, and I said, well, I don't own any of those. In fact, I had this one on the way. I didn't know it was Yiren. It was marketed as celluloid bookworm pen. I'm not sure whether that's a translation thing. I'm not sure whether Yiren means bookworm, but in any case, I'll just call it the bookworm because that's too cool to ignore. Okay, so I'll cover the parts of the pen, tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and then I'll do a writing sample. So the cap, flat top, nothing on there, just blackness. Cap, I know it's cheap, but I think it doesn't look that bad. We got the clip. The clip is very sharp, very, it's like really like sort of a spear point you got there. Flexible enough to use. Nice little band that keeps it in place. Then we have a much wider band and a smaller one. These are actually somewhat loose. Whatever. I think that looks kind of cool with the black thing. Again, I see some things in common with Delta here. Then we get a type of, what is this, filigree? It's clearly not real filigree, right? It's not real silver, it's not really, I guess not really put on there. I don't know how they did that, but I think it looks kind of nice. I know this won't focus, it's completely pointless. Not bad. Then you got that orange celluloid, if it is real celluloid. Looks pretty cool. You may be able to see something in there. Now that's the converter. It's somewhat transparent. There is some nice marbling going on there. It's not exactly even on some bits. It's very pronounced on other bits. It's not that pronounced, but still, 99 cents. That's what I paid, so it's not that bad. In the end, we get this. Well, I guess it could be a blind cap or a piston turning knob. In fact, it does nothing, but still, cap is a slip-off, slip-on cap. Fits on there very nicely. Really sort of slips in place. There's a little bit of a step down in the metal there, and it just fits in there. I think that's pretty cool. Good size, even unposted. I think it's a decent size. The section, tapered, smooth, reflective plastic, doesn't look too bad. Ends in a bit of, well, chrome, I guess. Again, nice ring, which gives for a good grip. It's a decent size section. Unscrew that. Got a converter, another one of these Chinese converters. It says Yiren on there, etched in there. I wouldn't be surprised. Yes, you can unscrew that so you can disassemble the converter. I always enjoy that. It's a bit easier to clean that way. You can also pull out the... Oh, wait. Actually, on the back of the section it says Yiren again. That's a nice, detail. The nib and feed can be removed. They're friction fit. You can just pull them out and clean them. The feed is one of those feeds that has nothing on there. There's no, fins or whatever, nothing there. The nib is simple. I think I've seen that shape nib with a Jinhao pen I've got. It's a two-tone nib. It says Yiren again in a type of nice script. Pretty simple. No real defining features, but it has an interesting shape. It has no breather hole. I'll just put it close to the camera. I know it won't really focus, but just to give you an idea of the shape. This is so blurry, it's probably useless. Anyway, it's fairly rounded. It's kind of nice. Okay, so weight of the pen. Just see whether I can get that. Yeah, 50 grams. That's what I thought. It's a fairly heavy pen. I didn't expect that. Okay, so what do I like about it? What do I not like about it? Well, what I like about it, I kind of like the looks. I'm sorry. I mean, it may be a knockoff, but I prefer a good knockoff of an expensive pen to a really expensive pen that I don't like. I think the looks are kind of nice. So that's cool. It's pleasant to use. It's pleasant to hold. A good size, good weight, good feel to it. Posted, it's top heavy, but I mean, you can imagine that's the case. Look how far the cap sticks out. That was to be expected. So I kind of like it. What I didn't like so much is that the pen is a little dry and tends to skip a little. It's not extremely pronounced, it just does so. I should add that I've put red ink in there, and I get the feeling red ink can be a little picky and can be a little prone to make pens skip. So maybe that's not entirely fair. A lot of these Chinese pens, you have to tune the nib a little bit, make it a bit smoother. I didn't feel a whole lot of feedback in this nib, but it can be smoother, and it can definitely be wetter. Just, with a brush shim or something, you can work on that. It's not that difficult. And I got that other Jinhao pen that had a nib like this, I told you about earlier, that was very dry too. So I think it maybe just be this nib. It doesn't have a breather hole, and I think the nib slit is pretty tight. So I can work on that a bit, and I think make it a bit wetter, and then I'd probably have a very nice pen. So you shouldn't, immediately think, well, it's a cheap pen, so it probably sucks. No, some of these cheap Chinese pens, I would call them Chinese pens because they're cheap and Chinese. There can be some pretty funny pens, with those. So check it out. eBay, just do a search for, Jinhao or something, and you'll find a lot of cheap pens that can actually be pretty nice. And that's all there is to it. So I think we need a writing sample. And that's all there is to it. So I hope this was useful, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Okay. Oop, there we go. Yiren. I'll just call it the Bookworm. And I shouldn't post this one because it's quite heavy. The nib, I think, was sold to me as medium, and it seems to be a reasonable medium. The ink is Ackerman, and I'm saying it in English, Ackerman. Chinatown. Red. Seems to fit in a Chinese pen. The Quick Red Dragon. Flew over the warrior. Who was feeding his fish. Fish seems to be maybe a little bit more Japanese than Chinese, but you catch my drift. It was supposed to be a nice Asian scene, an Asian scene with those typical trees, and then there's a dragon which has wings. I think in China they actually may not have wings, but you know what I mean. And they probably don't have eyes on sticks either. But I'm not even sure whether they breathe fire. But that doesn't really matter because there was a warrior who was a warrior. That's more like a samurai. So, well, never mind. There was a warrior who was feeding. That's a very fascinating one. His fish. That's a kind of moronic looking fish. Well, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, you catch my drift. It was just a bit of an Asian scene and the stuff with the things and going on. Right, fast writing. Skip. 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 Okay, so this nib will need a bit of a tune-up. I'll have to increase ink flow just a little bit, and that's easy enough to do. Just, you know, put some kind of shim in the between the nib, the nib tines. I already had the feeling they were a little tight, but that's fine. I mean, that's fine. This is what you get out of the box, so it's good to show you. Flex, well, springiness more likely, because these pens don't generally have a lot of flex to them. Hello. Well, a little bit of line variation, I guess. Nothing too fancy. What about wetness? Well, it's not bad, but it's not great either. You know, I mean, it's fairly dry. As I said, I have to increase flow a bit. But if you like a dry pen, you know, drier pen, something that's not a gusher, then I guess this would be fine for you. So then, the end. I hope this was useful. Even though this pen may have some very minor flow issues, and the cap, man. That's just a little too tight, you know? But okay, I think it looks nice. Probably not for everyone, but difference in cost, you know, all that. You want something that looks a little like this, you get this for 99 cents. I don't worry about it too much. It's a pretty nice pen. So, I hope this was useful, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.